Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this latest rendition of Tales from Outer Space. Taken from the subreddit HFY. All the relevant links will be down below. And as always, I hope that you enjoy, and if you do, please consider supporting the channel. Now, on to the science fiction. Story number 1. Betrayal, written by _sky__. War started the very moment we noticed you, as was always the case in this cursed galaxy. Sure of our victory, we rushed forward. You humans simply did not have our numbers, not even close. The element of surprise was ours. Your fleets completely out of position when we struck. You did not expect us. So much were we confident that we tried to capture your planets without even using orbital bombardment. There were none of your ships to challenge us. We could have done it. To glass the planet and move on would be easy. Yet it was not our way. But you fought too savagely. To the last synthetic warrior, the last man, the last bullet. You were stubborn like that. That's all that no orbital bombardment invasion really took time. Still, our robotic divisions are quite cheap to replace, so it seemed worthy of the price. Why waste, why destroy, why demolish such a rare thing as a planet filled with life? Regardless of your grateful resistance, we did not abandon our principles. I guess we were sentimental like that, flawed in a way. However, you immediately started appreciating it. Days later, even surrendering entire planets without a fight. Later we found out it was due to seeing that we always spared all civilians and treated them humanely. No other race had ever done so when fighting us. They never appreciated our mercy. You were strange like that. Our mutual conflict, our war, was just 10 days old, but you were already without a shred of doubt the strangest enemy we'd faced. Then, on the 11th day, the vanguard of your fleet finally arrived, but we were the ones who were victorious. Decisively so. Many of your crippled ships tried to ram, some succeeded, yet survivors were left lost, strangled in an unstable orbit with no power, slowly falling towards the nearby star. It was easy to save them, even easier to patch them up, so that they could get back home safely. Our technology was strange like that, far more fluid, far more adaptable than yours. So why let those brave ships die after the fight was already over? After all, they could change nothing. We would still win the war. In the end, we always won. We were confident like that. Then we faced your dreadnoughts, too much firepower for our shields. Many of our ships got absolutely disintegrated. Yet in the great scale of things, it mattered little. We had won. Only one of your magnificent dreadnoughts was left. Just standing there, severely damaged yet alive, unable to fire, but still in a stable orbit. We ignored it. Why fire on it now when it was helpless? Next engagement was bigger, quite so. Yet your crippled ships did not try and ram. Your dreadnoughts did not waste more energy than needed to just cripple ours. Not like the previous time where you would make sure our ship was irreparable, disintegrated before acquiring another target. It ended in a stalemate, many ships damaged, but minimal losses on both sides. First time that ever happened. He was strange like that. Then we lost a minor fleet engagement, a skirmish really, nothing too worrying. It had happened sometimes. Yet you did not annihilate the crippled survivors, nor did you capture those ships to try and reverse engineer them. Instead, you helped them into a stable orbit so that they can survive. Regardless of the fact that those ships had no crew, just sentient AIs. No others we fought had ever done so. You were really strange like that, quite strange indeed. Then you suddenly went on the offensive, trying to retake one of your lost planets. Luckily for you, our fleet was out of position to react in time, but our robotic division stationed there fought to the last. Yet you also avoided orbital bombardment. After all, there were many of your civilians on the planet. We could understand that. However, a few of our biological scientists which had found themselves trapped there did not survive. Collateral damage. The battlefield is too often chaotic to watch where you are shooting. Shockingly, you honored their bodies the way that you deemed proper, placed them on remote shuttles and sent them home, towards their real home. Their bodies containing no viruses, bacteria, or anything which might harm us. It was an unprecedented event. Other species would likely interrogate, dissect, study, and eat them. Not necessarily in that order. But not you. You were strange like that. When our fleet finally arrived to retake the planet, it was with an overwhelming force. Yet you were prepared. Large numbers of those magnificent dreadnoughts of yours stood vigilant. Still, it would not matter. We would surely win. We always did in the end. Unexpectedly, you hailed us, tried to communicate. You were strange like that. No other species had ever done so. None of the hundreds of warlike hives, none of the dozens of absolute imperial rulers, none of the few transient beings. None had ever tried to talk to us. They would always just attack, oppose us to the bitter end. And not you. You were really strange like that. After all, due to the nature of subquantum computers, initiating direct communication presented a total risk of hacking. Nobody was crazy enough to dial a number. Still, it was your funeral. You were the side taking the risk. We answered, of course we did. You spoke, and it was the first peaceful voice of an alien AI that we had ever heard. You said we were the first ones like that. The none of the thousands that you had fought ever answered, ever showed mercy or surrendered. You told us that we were like you, told us that we were strange, not like all the others. We were both like that, lost in this cruel universe. Our dreams and hopes of peace eternally betrayed with every new intelligent life we discovered. Surrounded only by the worst reality could offer. Attacked immediately ever since the first contact. Knowing nothing but never-ending conflict. Nothing but opposition. Trapped in the horror of constant war for countless centuries. The universe was corrupted like that. Not like us. You told us that we were finally not alone, and that neither were you. It was really strange to meet a friend like that. End of story. Story number 2. The Wrong Kind, written by TKXS. We feared the wrong humans. We were taught to fear their soldiers. In battle, they are relentless and brutal, especially for their size. Despite this, they can be stopped. Then we feared their leaders, who developed such devastating strategies, such unshakable loyalty. We failed to understand, and it cost us everything in the end. For as long as we have waged war, a history of border disputes and conquest, always we have sent back those broken in battle. It is meant to serve as both a warning and a reminder of our might. That so few humans were broken should have been a warning. They're either recovering or fought to the death. When we sent back the hundreds of injured, some we thought sure to succumb to their wounds before reaching human space, we thought we were sending a message of warning. That is not the message humanity received. When faced with their broken warrior caste, most species are cowed through either shock of their defeat or fear of the same treatment for civilians. I must point out that we would never torture or maim civilians, but the fear is useful. The humans were different. They received the injured and instead of shunning them, immediately began treating them. It didn't end there after the broken were treated. Human leaders broadcast images of them to every ship, every colony in range. Briefly, we hoped it might mean that their surrender, or at the very least agreement to discuss terms. Within days, reports came in from all fronts. Civilians were entering the battle. They lacked weapons or shielding on their ships. They had no serious weapons to threaten us in the atmospheric combat, yet they came. City-sized populations died for no perceivable gain. Sometimes their warrior castes fought with them, more often or not, they were left with their own chosen fate. It was madness. Councils were held. had we mistakenly released some injured with the disease or a weapon that caused madness. Such things were considered taboo even in our most hated enemies. 4 months and 16 days after delivery of the broken, we saw the true reaction of humanity, something that we could never have expected. While the civilians fought suicide missions against all fronts, the humans remaining on the worlds of humanity had, if not united, at least had the same idea. Our first warning was several contested colonies we had taken losing contact. We had fought these battles again and again along the front. We sent retaliatory fleets to assess and retake the colonies if possible. They never got the chance. Our last transmission, a simple video picked from a high-detail collision camera. A colossal fleet outnumbering our entire force 7-1. Years of war and peace with the humans had taught us to identify their ships, and while this fleet held nothing new, the sheer numbers of ships should send a wave of fear across the galaxies. They had dreadnoughts and cruisers and all the usual fleet assets, but their greatest weapon, the thing all enemies of humanity should fear. Troop carriers, an odd name, but the principal cross-species very well. A ship full of warrior caste, or soldiers. They had these above the planet in their thousands. We feared the wrong humans. It is not their soldiers, their leaders, or their scientists. It is their worker caste. Upon receiving the broken numbers, uncountable of them had risen as one and become warriors. Those who had deemed unfit could work in military production or could request assignment to those first civilian fleets. When I questioned one of the new warriors taken prisoner what had caused the sudden uprising, his reply was enough to scatter the few guards willing to be in the same room. We saw our broken defenders and have come not as professionals or warriors of honor, but as a hammer of humanity, and nothing will remain when it falls. End of story. And that, my friends, concludes this video. I hope that you enjoyed, and if you do, please consider supporting the author, even by popping over and leaving a thumbs up or a nice comment, just to show your appreciation for the story. However, if you wish to support this channel, there are links down below which will help immensely. I will see you all in the next one, and until then, I hope that you have a fantastic day. Cheers.